Have you lost control of your MPs, Prime Minister?
Stream is go, I believe. Yes, it is. Good evening, people. This is the Brews at 10 on my left eye. I'm your host, Lefty. A very warm welcome to you this Wednesday, which means it's another PMQs featuring Keith's Catchphrases. Welcome to the stream, one and all. How are you brewing this evening? We have got Chris and Stu in the chat. Nice and early, great to see you both. Yeah, very quick and abrupt intro to this Brews at 10. Make sure you've hit thumbs up on the stream if you're just joining us. Getting started shortly. That is into PMQs, a few other stories to catch up on as well. Both domestic and foreign. That is, foreign. From our perspective, here in the northwest of the UK. Graham, very nice to see you as well. Solidari-Tea for joining us. So yes, the game returns as well. Bit of a shake-up where that's concerned. I'll share the details in due course, of course. Because of course is a course of course. Everybody got that? How are you all enjoying Heatwave 2.5 of 2025? Yeah, it's going to be hitting the 30s tomorrow. In the south. Wow. Emma, thanks for joining us. Has it been a bit muggy over there in Cumbria? Up and over there. Up there. Oh yeah, it's not over because there's just Lancashire and then the sea. And then Ireland. So I hope you're well, nonetheless. So yeah, make sure you've all hit thumbs up as you're coming in. Hit the relevant buttons even. Give the channel a share around your social media, that'd be awesome. So yeah, after PMQs, a bit more about the welfare reforms that have unfortunately passed. Also the latest on the diplomatic travels, more specifically Netanyahu's visit to the United States and, shall we say, events that have taken place at the same time, although I'm sure they're just a coincidence. And that is Netanyahu has not gone over there to issue any kind of instructions whatsoever. No, I don't think so. So a little bit about that. We'll have the Gaza latest plus more, so stick around for as long as you can tonight on the stream. I'm obliged to give a huge shout out and a round of thanks to all the members on the channel. Most deserved thanks as well for helping to sustain the channel. I've now at a record level of members, we're into the 110s. Did get into the 120s very briefly, but a few people didn't renew, but still going strong. I believe it's 114, so Solidari-Tea for that. And a stream wouldn't be a stream without its audience, so bring the chat onto the screen, bring your good people into the proceedings, let your voices be heard and your words be seen. I don't know if anyone noticed on the members list, it was on last night's stream that we did actually pick up a member via gifted memberships who does quite awkwardly have the same name as this channel. So there was a My Left Eye on the list, but it's not me, that's not me or my personal account or anything along those lines, just to be very clear. Not trying to up the numbers, you know, by subscribing to myself and getting a membership, so just to be clear on that. There is no official affiliation, although the other My Left Eye was on the stream in the chat as well. And that's never happened before. I do assure you it's a coincidence as well. That's just typical actually, you know. I thought I'd come up with quite a good, unique name because, gotta be quite honest, it's not that easy to think of original YouTube usernames. Political ones, especially, specifically socialist ones. If you're going to use the word left, there are quite a few other channels that use it as well, so I thought I had one, and I'm not certain. I'm not going to satisfy my curiosity by going and having a look at the profile at this very moment, but I'm not sure if the channel has been around for longer than My Left Eye. That is the political one. Yeah, just one final thing on that as well. I don't know if it sort of freaked you out if you came across a channel that had the same name as yours. You might be inclined to, but the other My Left Eye, that is, gave us a thumbs up in the chat, so it all seems well and good. Don't think there's any animosity. And obviously now a member, so welcome to the fabulous members brew crew. And speaking of members, we just had another generous gift. Thanks, Nicola, for those 5. So Sam, just noticing, Sam, what's that second one? Cupid Bloro Pope, Cupid B, Laura Pope, Blora Pope, John the Brazen, Sarah Davies, welcome. Enjoy your memberships on your perks. Thanks again for that, Nicola Curtin. Big up in the chat, please. Solidari-Tea for that. And of course you already are, before being prompted, because I've got a quality audience here on the Brews at 10. Oh yeah, I'll tell you what, just very quickly before we go into PMQs via the comedy clip, of course. I do have one lined up today, but I just wanted to pick your brains about this. It's quite rare that, apart from for sort of giving shout outs or whatever to other channels, they'll sort of discuss them. I don't want to get a reputation for being a gossiper or a net curtain twitcher, as it's known around the northwest of the UK. However, over the last 2 or 3 days, I've noticed a continuing, what I can only describe as mini drama surrounding left-wing channels. Now, I will point out that I came across this because I'm subscribed to the channel, that I'm about to mention, and I've probably been watching their videos on off for a couple of years now. I think that's on my personal YouTube rather than this one, but nonetheless, I don't know if you've come across it. It started off essentially by, and it was all with the best of intentions, I believe, to try and put an end to sort of factionalism on the left, and he had this sort of can't we all get along, and this left-right battle, this sort of, you know, the arguing and the negativity. I think he was focusing on negativity within political arguments and a lack of positivity and stuff, and he mentioned a few channels, including Turn Left, who I know that a lot of viewers here will probably also be regular viewers of, Super Tansky, who, you know, notoriously backstammer and took quite a lot of flack for it, and has been criticised in the past. I do have to say I'm not personally subscribed to Super Tansky. In fact, I believe one of my old personal Twitter accounts was blocked by them at one point. And then today I noticed a sort of apology video for bringing up Super Tansky. So this channel's called Van Man Talks. I don't know if you've ever come across it. It's a guy based on the south coast. I believe he is a driver. He runs a small furniture business, I believe, and his thing is he's sort of talking about politics as he drives around with a dash cam. So like I said, I've been subscribed to that for a couple of years, but he's decided to mention a few channels by name, and No Justice was also one of the ones used in the thumbnail, or I can't remember if he actually specifically mentioned them in the video I came across, but I don't know if you've been made aware of this sort of mini drama. For me, it's just kind of, it's bizarre, you know, because I follow these channels. It's great when you see channels collaborate. For example, now we've started to see Helena from No Justice appearing on Navarro. We've started to see Kevin Logan and Helena appearing on Turn Left, etc. That's always great, because it's great to see people who you follow and subscribe to individually sort of chewing the fat over whatever topic it might be, but in this sort of, I don't want to say mudslinging, but in a critical light, you've got to say, was kind of odd. I do want to say it's, you know, I'm still subscribed, and I'll still follow, not for drama or anything. I do have better things to do than follow online content providers falling out, perhaps. Stu, you know what I'm on about. Morbius, yeah, Brighton, that sounds about right. Yeah, in fact, I think on a few of the videos I've seen, he's actually literally driving on the Brighton coast. There, doing his runs in his van. And he seems like a very good guy. He seems like a pretty based fella. From what I remember, most of the vids that I've seen him, I guess I came across him when the Tories were still in power, and it would have concerned austerity, critiques of, obviously, the likes of former Prime Ministers, as well as Matt Hancock and the like. But I will say ultimately, obviously, we're all stronger if we stick together. Some of us do have our red lines, but ultimately we have to accept that we're not going to agree on everything. Like I said, some people have the red lines, that's fair enough, but other than that, we need to work on compromise, because apes together strong and all that. Let's not forget, people, we outnumber the bourgeoisie by some considerable amount. Philip, start the printing presses. It's go. It's go. Revolution is go. Okay. Let's let's get going with the opening clip, comedy clip. It's about the formation of new parties. Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn coming together to form one. And Colin from Portsmouth, who is with the Exploding Heads, isn't exactly keen on the idea, so... where is it? At one moment, people. I've just got to upload it, I think. I'm sure I uploaded it. Well, in the meantime, let's not just have awkward silence. Just 1 sec. Minor broadcast software issue here, people. I was sure I uploaded it because I remember sort of sizing it up to the screen. But for the sake of brevity, I'm just gonna grab it again. Here we go.
Colin from Portsmouth is on the line. Hello, Colin.
I am disgusted and...
Let's just sort that out there. He's disgusted. Yes, again, absolutely disgusted. What is it this time, Colin?
Absolutely disgusted. Jeremy Corbyn hates Britain so much that he's starting a new party with Sabrina Carpenter.
Zara Sultana. Zara Sultana.
Who does he think he is? Oliver Cromwell? He might as well be standing over King Prince Charles and Diana II and urinating on them.
Right.
That's what he's doing to our country. Sultana, just like Sadiq Khan, enemies
Colin, didn't Nigel Farage set up a new party? 2 new parties, if we're counting.
It's Farage. Pronounce it the British way, please. Just because his wife and his passport are German doesn't mean he is.
Well,
unless you're setting up one of UKIP, Brexit or Reform, splinter groups are unconstitutional.
Didn't Elon Musk set up a new party at the weekend as well, come to think of it?
America, as is his American rights, as a non-American.
I want to know this. Where do you stand on Elon and Donald Trump fighting, Colin? How do you feel about that?
God, it's like your 2 dads at loggerheads, isn't it?
Well,
stop quarrelling, dads, and let me play my Nintendo in peace. I hope when they do reproduce, they'll find a compromise.
So, when they how did 2 dads produce a baby, Colin? Especially from you.
Come on, Anthony. Elon is the father of technology.
Right.
He'll find a way. But I tell you this, I'd like to see him give birth for once. Maybe he and Boris Johnson wouldn't be so obsessed with repopulating if they had to carry an infant to full term. Anyway, mate, my point is, Jeremy Corbyn is bad for democracy. Thanks for having me on. Love to the family.
Love to the family, Colin. Love to the family.
Imagine how much that baby's share price would go down in 9 months, all because of the so-called tolerant left.
Yeah.
The Exploding Heads, who we're no strangers to. Great stuff. Go and give them a follow on YouTube if you don't know them. Yeah, probably do though. definitely worth a watch.
Damn right!
Alright people, shall we get going with PMQs? So, just a reminder, for those who don't know, it's my first time watching PMQs. I've not seen any of it, so it's a genuine reaction. We do have a game that we play along, which will be explained in just a moment. But before we get on, if you have seen it, or maybe even little snippets of it, I've not seen one iota of it this week, but no spoilers in the chat please, if you have seen it. So here we go, it's Keith's catchphrases.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Deliver. Black hole.
Plan for change.
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 Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Alright, here we are. So it's pretty simple, really. We pick two phrases or words and we pit them against one another and keep score as we go through PMQs. There are a few rules, there are a few caveats. First of all, it has to be Keir Starmer who says the word or phrase. Also, if a phrase or contestant suffers 2 losses in a row, then they get knocked out and replaced with another phrase. Final thing, variations are allowed, such as past and future tenses, plurals, etc. Of the words or phrases. It doesn't have to be exactly in verbatim. Just another one as well. We've had the last 3 contests. We've had 3 draws, actually. So as a result, I've selected 2 former candidates to go toe-to-toe. A couple of old classic favourites, so we'll see how we do. 2 of those 3 draws were 0-0, by the way, so hopefully we'll get some action this time. So that's Keith's catchphrases. the chat. Sausages. Release the sausages. But who do we have, I hear you cry. Now, during the 0-0s, it was actually pretty... what's the word I'm saying? What's the word I'm looking for? What would regularly happen is we'd hear former contestants being mentioned while the current contestants sat not scoring a single point. So I've gone back for a couple of classics. I've not gone for Deliver, represented by Postman Twat, under recommendation from a psychiatrist, because I still keep reaching for the button every time that one gets mentioned. So first up we're going to have Black Hole. Former classic, of course, the 22 billion black hole, still being used a lot, and change is going to be the other one. So that's black hole there, just show you a bigger version of the pictures, and change. And when you hear either of those phrases, you'll hear this noise. And we'll keep count just here, so slightly smaller actually. Okay, we're good to go. I will do my best to listen out, but if you do happen to hear any that I miss, just give us a shout out in the chat. Hopefully I can keep up. I want to see some action this week, people. Okay, take it away, Lindsay Hoyle, you absolutely useless gobshite.
We now come to Prime Minister's questions. Durham Pape.
Question number 1, please, Mr. Speaker.
Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On Monday, we mark the 20th anniversary of the despicable terrorist attacks on 7/7. The painful memories of that dark day are deeply ingrained. 52 people were murdered, many more were injured. We thank our emergency services who ran towards danger with true bravery, and send our deepest condolences to the victims, the survivors and bereaved, and all those forever affected by that appalling day. May I also extend our deepest condolences to the family and friends of Lord Tevitt. We remember his profound courage in the face of terrorism and a fierce devotion to his wife, Margaret. May he rest in peace. Mr. Speaker, we also mark the 30th anniversary of the genocide at Srebrenica. We remember those lost and redouble our efforts to fight hatred and intolerance wherever it exists.
What? Also, you can recognise a genocide, can you? And you've marked 30-year anniversary. Really? Really? There's one happening right before our very eyes right now. But of course, paid not to acknowledge that one, aren't we, Keith?
Mr. Speaker, I'm delighted to welcome President Macron to the United Kingdom. Our relationship has never been stronger, and we're focused on tough new tactics to tackle illegal migration, major economic investment to create jobs, and leading our allies to support Ukraine. Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and can I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks? At a recent coffee morning, residents in...
Can I associate myself with their remarks? What I actually hear is the what he said. Yeah, what he said. And this.
Southampton Itchin told me how much they still miss the Bitton NHS walk-in centre that was shut down a decade ago under the Conservatives. So can I begin by welcoming this government's 10-year plan and its commitment to neighbourhood health services. And as we put this...
This is the government that are making 10-year plans knowing full well they're almost certainly going to be out in 4 years, so...
Plan for change into action for my local residents. Does the Prime Minister agree that Bitton is an excellent location for the first new neighbourhood health centre?
Well, I pay tribute to him for making the case for his constituents, and I know the Health Secretary will give it every consideration. Mr. Speaker, the 10-year plan will establish neighbourhood health centres in every community. And make
Just noticing, quick, we've got this super smiley Rachel Reeves this week. It's going to be all smiles. It's going to be 100% happiness.
A massive difference, starting in the places where the need is greatest and life expectancy at its lowest. Mr. Speaker, I'm proud that we promised 2 million extra NHS appointments in the first year of a Labour government, and we've now delivered £4 million.
We went for it again.
We shouldn't forget that the record investment that made that possible in the budget was opposed by all the parties opposite.
Leader of the opposition, can we bear it up?
Mr. Speaker, can I echo the Prime Minister's sentiments about the horrific terrorist attack of July the 7th? I was pleased to be at the commemoration service on Monday, and in particular, our thoughts are with the families of those who lost their lives, those who had to go on without their loved ones. And, Mr. Speaker, I would like to pay tribute to Lord Tebbit, who died yesterday at the age of 94. He was a man of iron integrity and conviction, who by his efforts helped to save our country from the chaos of the 1970s. We all owe him so much. Mr. Speaker, in their manifesto last year, Labour promised not to increase income tax, not to increase national insurance, and not to increase VAT. Does the Prime Minister still stand by his promises?
Yes. Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, it is...
He must be in a rush. He just wants to breeze through this one. He's not going to give Black Hole and Change much of a chance if he answers every question like this. Yeah, because he can't really defend the fact that he's gone back on his word. Again, low-hanging fruit for Kemi Badenoch. Even she can't fuck this one up. But maybe an explanation for Keith's short answer there.
It is rare, yes. It is rare that he's able to give a clear answer, but I'm glad that he has done so, because he also promised, in fact, he boasted that he solved the doctor strike, but only a Prime Minister who was so weak and giving 28% pay rise to doctors, only now we see that they're still voting to strike again. He folds in every negotiation and claims that it is a triumph. Yes, he does. And we saw at the budget, Mr. Speaker, more promises. The Chancellor promised that she would lift the freeze on income tax and national insurance thresholds, because in her words, they hurt working people. Is that still government policy?
Mr. Speaker,
Mr. Speaker, no.
We are absolutely fixed on our fiscal rules. We remain committed to them. We remain committed to our budget, to our manifesto commitments. I realise that sticking to your fiscal rules and your manifesto commitments is a bit unfamiliar to the party opposite, but it's because of the decisions the Chancellor took, that this government has taken, that we can...
I'm Rachel Reeves and I am laughing. Sorry, that was not an attempt at an impression. But she's really putting it on now. It's quite hammed up already, isn't it? And we're only about 5 minutes in.
Update the House, £120 billion of inward investment into this country since we took office. Business confidence at a 9-year high. That's longer than the Leader Opposition has been in Parliament. Deloitte this week saying the UK is now the best place to invest, creating 384,000 jobs. What a contrast to the mess that we inherited from the party opposite.
Was there a
There's no clear answer there.
The
whole House would have heard him fail to rule out freezing tax thresholds. He could say it in the first question, he could promise, but he couldn't this time round. But what does this mean, Mr. Speaker? He's talking about record investment and more jobs. We know that people are losing their jobs. Unemployment has gone up under Labour every single month since it's their year in office. But what does it mean on this issue of tax thresholds? It means that under Labour, millions of our poorest pensioners face being dragged into income tax for the first time ever. Does the Prime Minister think it is right that struggling pensioners should face a retirement tax?
Mr. Speaker, for a Prime Minister or Chancellor to say we're not going to write a budget in advance isn't a Labour thing or a Tory thing.
Tax.
Every single Prime Minister...
So, when you've worked until your 60s or your 70s, some people even have to work longer these days, and paid tax throughout, income tax, value-added tax, maybe a whole bunch of other taxes as well. But nonetheless, you've been paying tax that whole time. A retirement tax. That's the best that she can drum up.
And Chancellor says they won't. We will stick to our manifesto commitments. We will stick to our fiscal rules. This is a language they don't understand, which is why I have to. That's what got us into the problem in the first place. And whilst she comes here every week.
Stick to the manifesto commitments.
What?
Yeah. That didn't exactly happen, Keith.
To talk the country down. That investment, record investment, £120 billion, that will be good, well-paid jobs across the country. And this investment, Mr. Speaker, is foreign investors who can choose whether to invest in this country. They're choosing to invest in this country now because they have confidence in what this government is doing.
Mr. Speaker, investors are fleeing the country. They're fleeing the country. He says he'll stick to his manifesto promises. They promised not to put a tax on working people, and then we got the jobs tax. And all we have seen is jobs disappearing. Before the election, the Prime Minister promised, and I quote, "not a penny more on your council tax." The Institute for Fiscal Studies says that now...
Ah, did you hear that? Did you hear that one? Let's go.
Jobs tax, and all we have seen is jobs disappearing. Before the election, the Prime Minister promised, and I quote, "not a penny more on your council tax." The Institute for Fiscal Studies says that now council tax bills will rise at their fastest rate in 20 years. Will the Prime Minister admit that under him council tax is set to soar?
Minister.
No, of course it's not. It soared under the last government. But, Mr. Speaker, here she goes again, back on familiar territory. She comes here complaining about the national insurance rise every year, every week. She comes here complaining about it. And then when she's asked the question, well, would you have the courage then to reverse it? What's the answer? What's the answer?
He's supposed to be talking to the Speaker. That's the protocol. He was practically turning round and talking directly to the other members behind him. The protocol in Parliament is that the Speaker is the conduit. You're not directly speaking to Kemi Badenoch, and that's why you always refer to them in the third person, or you refer to them by the seat which they represent. This is bad form. I don't know if Lindsay Hoyle's going to let him get away with it, but if it were me in that chair, hell no. In fact, I get rid of the whole damn lot of them. In fact, let's just let the people run this whole thing. Case closed. Brilliant. Revolution. Let's go. Oh, by the way, you can see the mace on the dispatch area. Just the one I mentioned yesterday when we were talking about Michael Heseltine and the ape thing. That's what he picked up and swung around. That big thing. It's made of gold, of course, and it's worth more than your sorry life. That's for sure.
Because she's too embarrassed to say she doesn't want the investment we put in. That investment went to the NHS. They want the investment, they can't say how they're going to pay for it. That is what got us into the problem in the first place.
Mr. Speaker, he still doesn't understand, so I'm going to make it very simple for him. This is a mess of his own making. He shouldn't be asking how we would clean it up. The fact is, they raise national insurance through the jobs tax, and that's why they have to put up council tax. The truth is, his catastrophic budget has created a domino effect which he cannot now control. We on this side of the House know that you cannot tax your way to growth. But now...
For those of you just joining us, we're going for the world record for how many words you can say without concluding that you should perhaps tax the rich and then not have to have these back and forths about what the solutions to the problems of our society are, even though you know. They're apparent to all of us. It's a massive elephant in the room.
Now he's flirting.
Every week. We go.
But now he's flirting. They're all muttering. I remember that budget. They were laughing and cheering. They had no idea the mess that they were creating. They should go and explain to their constituents about...
Is Lindsay Hoyle going to sort this rabble out? Come on, Rissy. Right.
Why unemployment is going up. But, Mr. Speaker, what is more worrying is that now he's flirting with Neil Kinnock's demand for a wealth tax. Let's be honest about what that means. This is a...
Neil Kinnock. Okay, so it's Lord Kinnock. Once, apparently, he suggested that we abolish the House of Lords, and now he is a Lord. This is the guy that couldn't beat Margaret Thatcher or John Major. That is without the whole media working against him and false slurs being made up about him. You know what I mean? Don't really think that I want to hear any of his ideas, or his son Stephen either, who was visibly shaken as he saw Labour wipe out the Tory majority in 2017, of course. Neil Kinnock. What a lot of crap.
Tax on all of our constituent savings, on their houses, on their pensions. It would be a tax on aspiration. Will the Prime Minister rule this out?
Mr. Speaker, she says we shouldn't be asking them for advice on the economy. She's absolutely right about that. We will not be asking for their advice. What we did in the budget was stabilise the economy through the measures taken by the Chancellor. And what has that led to? 4 interest rate cuts. For mortgage holders, that's hugely important. Compare and contrast what happened to the Liz Truss mini-budget. The fastest growth in the G7 in the first quarter of this year. Wages up more in the first 10 months of a Labour government than the 10 years under the Tories. So no, we don't need lessons from them.
Mr. Speaker, he says he's...
You're copying exactly what they did, and everything you just said is a lie.
Stabilise the economy. Has he spoken to any farmers recently? Yes. It is time for him to take responsibility for the mess he is making. He has been in office for a year, and all we see is him congratulating himself on...
What about the farmers on the Chagos Islands? Northern Tebbit, so on and so forth.
What a fantastic job that he has done. Nobody out there believes it. No, not even them. Not even them. What a weak chair. Mr. Speaker, he's congratulating himself. We can compare records. He talks about the fastest growing economy. We left him the fastest growing economy of the G7. We cut the deficit in every year until the pandemic. We got inflation down to 2%. On his watch, taxes are up. Unemployment is up. Inflation is up. And this weak Prime Minister has been forced into a series of chaotic U-turns. Yesterday, Mr. Speaker, the OBR said that our economy is being eroded under Labour. Doctor strikes, tax bombshells, the wealthy leaving in droves. Isn't the truth that under him he is dragging us back to the 1970s?
Mr. Speaker.
In the 1970s, Kemi, let's say in your standard nuclear family, that is, you could have one person working, still afford to feed your kids and maybe have a holiday or two every year. I believe most people probably bought themselves a car as well. This whole, you know, the myth about comparing now to the 1970s, it's well, it's just not true. It's not exactly gone from living memory. Yeah, what, 50 years ago or whatever, but a lot of people have pointed out that these insinuations aren't exactly accurate. I won't go into because obviously during that time she's probably referring to the Callaghan government. Obviously this is pre-Thatcher, just before Thatcher won in 1979. So that's why it's a dig at Labour. But Labour weren't in power throughout the entirety of the 70s, of course.
Responsibility. We're responsible for 4 million extra appointments in the NHS. We're responsible for a 10-year plan on the future of the NHS after they broke it. We're also responsible for free school meals being rolled out in a way which has never been done by any government. Breakfast clubs being rolled out, family hubs being rolled out, transport across the country, and migration coming down. We take responsibility and we're proud of that.
Lord Hatton. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Eden project in Cornwall is a proven success story, injecting millions into the local economy. And in Lancashire, Eden Morecambe will soon be under construction, set to create hundreds of jobs. So it's about time we had the third instalment with Memo Portland, or Eden Portland, as many like to call it. This will be a world-class attraction, celebrating the Jurassic Coast and transforming the economy in South Dorset. So will the Prime Minister back this exciting project and work with me and all of the relevant ministers to secure funding to deliver this project? And ideally, can we use the new Growth Mission Fund?
Well, look, I thank him for highlighting this exciting proposal, and he's a fantastic advocate for Portland and South Dorset. The Eden...
Planted question / plug of the week. We're building a theme park. Isn't everybody so aroused by this fact? This is the best thing that's ever happened ever. Don't look at the homeless people. No.
Portland is a hugely exciting project. I can't confirm funding allocations yet, Mr. Speaker, but our £240 million Growth Mission Fund should support transformative projects that give local leaders real investment to deliver real change. And I know he makes a compelling case in relation to the fund that's been set out.
Sir Ed David, Leader of the Liberal Democrats.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Can I associate
myself and my party with the Prime Minister's comments about the horrifying terrorist bombings of 7/7 here in London? Our thoughts are with the victims, their families, and our amazing emergency services. And can I also join in the condolences to the family of Lord Tebbit? He was a man of service in the RAF, in politics, and as a carer for his wife, Margaret. He will be greatly missed. Mr. Speaker, after years of Conservative neglect, the special education needs system is in desperate need of repairs. But with parents understandably worried, we already hear Labour MPs planning another rebellion. So can I offer the Prime Minister this? If he genuinely wants to fix the problem and not strip away the rights of children and parents in some cost-cutting exercise, then we have 72 votes to help. So, will the Prime Minister look at the 5 tests for SEND reform we have published today? So, will the Prime Minister look at the 5 tests for SEND reform we have published today and work with us to make it happen?
Well, Mr. Speaker, it's telling that when he raises the question of the broken SEND system, they laugh at the back of the Tory boxes. They laugh. That's how seriously they take their responsibility. Absolute shame. But as he knows, every week across the House, people raise this issue with me. I think it's been raised more times than anything else. And everyone knows the system is broken. And again, guess who broke it along with everything else? It doesn't work for parents, and it lets down children. So we do need to reform and change it. That's not about saving money. We've already invested an additional £1 billion into SEND, but it is about creating a new system that truly supports every child.
Clear daylight between
developing proposals.
two contenders.
We want to work with parents and teachers to get this right, and I would expect him to welcome that.
Sir Ed Davey.
Well, I think the Prime Minister first replied, we want to work across the House to fix the mess that lay live. We don't want another welfare-style mess this time. We've got to fix this properly for parents and children. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative government badly undermined the security of our borders by ripping up the returns agreement that allowed us to send migrants back to Europe. So I hope the Prime Minister can secure a new returns agreement with France that acts as a real deterrent to stop the votes. And the Conservatives also sent hundreds of millions of pounds.
I mean, I'm really sick to the back of the teeth of this focus on immigration, you know, the scramble to say we're going to be the strongest on immigration or whatever, complete distraction from the real problems in our society. I've never seen so much manufacturing of consent happening at the same time. Well, certainly maybe you could argue outside of periods of war or whatever. But it's like the fact that it's all that they want to talk about all the time, and it's hitting the top headlines on the news stories as well. It's just again trying to pave. Are they just trying to pave the path for Farage because he, as far as that issue goes, he's got that demographic in the bank, lock, stock and barrel. So you, none of you, whether it's Lib Dem, the Tories or Labour, are going to outflank Farage on that matter. It's a lost cause. It's also a false rhetoric, and it's pretty shameful as well to see them towing the same line so strong and so often.
To France, and got nothing in return. Does the Prime Minister agree that any new funding to the French government must be conditional on them agreeing a returns deal and doing their bit to stop the boats?
Mr. Speaker, we're working closely with the French on this issue. We'll only provide funding that delivers for our priorities. We are working closely. We share information to a much greater extent than was the case before. We've got a new specialist intelligence unit at Dunkirk, and we're the first government to persuade the French to review their laws and tactics on the North Coast to take more effective action. I'll be discussing this at meetings with President Macron both today and tomorrow.
John Slinger.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In light of recent events, could the Prime Minister update the House on the work of the COVID Corruption Commissioner? And does he agree with my constituents in Rugby, Bulkington and the surrounding villages that there should be no place in public life for people who exploited the pandemic and defrauded the taxpayer to line their own pockets?
My honourable friend makes a powerful point, and I hope it was heard on the benches opposite. It's an absolute scandal that failed PPE contracts were handed out by the Conservatives at taxpayer funds of £1.4 billion. We're focused on getting our money back. I can confirm the Commissioner is now investigating fraud involving bounce back and business support loans, and we will continue to go after the fraudsters, the grifters and the con artists, no matter who they are or where we find them.
Nigel Farage. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah, pretty fitting that.
Some of you want to get in a little later. If this takes forever, you won't get in. Nigel Farage.
Thank you. The main reason this country wisely voted for Brexit back in 2016, and that included millions of Labour supporters, is because we wanted to take back control of our borders so that we and we alone could decide.
Shouting everybody was lied to.
Who comes and settles in...
Oh, you can... that's interesting as well. Look, I'm going to look right behind him. Look right behind him. Who do we have? double evil stare. It's Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn, of course. What are they thinking? They're thinking, we're coming for you, Buster. Maybe. Oh, I've lost the shit. Interesting freeze frame there.
Our country. Does the Prime Minister understand that demand today is even greater than it was back in 2016?
We can't hear you.
And that we demand,
Have you got a cold?
the country
We
demands...
can't hear you if you got a cold.
that you say to the French President... Will you shut up?
Well, actually, the Speaker isn't doing anything. He was getting, like, you know, I have no objection to it, it's twat. But the Speaker not doing anything about that there. Just go back a few seconds. He was just getting straight up heckled there.
Voted for Brexit back in 2016, and that included millions of Labour supporters, is because we wanted to take back control of our borders so that we and we alone could decide who comes and settles in our country. Does the Prime Minister understand?
Who is it? Who's... I don't recognise the voice. It's nobody in the shot.
That demand today is even greater than it was back in 2016.
We can't hear you.
And that we demand,
Have you got a cold?
the country demands, that you say to the French President, will you shut up?
And then someone who I think is close to him said, will you shut up? Will you shut up? Is that a Yorkshire accent? It's a Northern accent for sure. But...
So that we and we alone could decide who comes and settles in our country. Does the Prime Minister understand that demand today is even greater than it was back in 2016?
We can't hear you.
And that we demand...
He's saying some crap about immigration, by the way, just in case you're trying to pick up on what Farage is saying for some reason.
Have you got a cold?
The country demands that you say to the French President, will you shut up? That you say to the French President, we will not accept undocumented males across the English Channel, and that you are not dictated to by an increasingly...
What? No males? What sort of deluded nonsense is this?
Arrogant, anti-Brexit French liberal.
Mr. Speaker, we are fixing the mess that we inherited. We are working with other countries to ensure that we take the measures necessary to stop people crossing the Channel. They are serious answers to serious problems. His proposal for 10 years, wagging the Tory dog, has been to break everything and claim that's how you fix things, to stick two fingers up at your neighbours and then expect them to work with us. And he votes against the Borders Bill, which gives more powers to our law enforcement to deal with security at our borders. And, Mr. Speaker, the reason for that is he has no interest...
That is actually true, he voted against it. There have been other things that they've been particularly loud about that they've abstained on, not even bothered to show up. We're more than familiar by now just how absent Farage himself is from his constituency in Clacton.
In fixing the problem because he wants to milk it and exploit it. That's the truth about him and his party.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. From homelessness to child poverty, so many of the challenges that I see people facing in Exeter can be traced back to early years. So can I welcome how this government is rebuilding on the legacy of Sure Start, so cruelly dismantled by the party opposite? And can the Prime Minister set out what difference this will make to family services in Exeter?
Well, I'm grateful to him. I've discussed it with him before. He's a brilliant champion for Exeter. Mr. Speaker, every child should have support to realise their potential. and the party opposite tore up Sure Start and took it out of our communities, an act, in my view, of vandalism that abandoned families and deepened inequalities. Mr. Speaker, we're delivering 1,000 Best Start family hubs across the country. That's in addition to free childcare being rolled out and expanding free school meals. That's the change the Labour government makes.
Rangzen. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Growing numbers of people are joining calls for a wealth tax on the super rich, including
75% to 25%, apparently. But Labour won't do that, of course.
former Labour leader Lord Kinnock, and today a former First Minister of Wales, and it transpires the Chancellor herself when she was in opposition. So will the Prime Minister stand by his promise that those with the broadest shoulders should carry the largest burden? And can he clarify that that means the ultra-wealthy, not disabled people, the poorest, and children with special educational needs?
Mr. Speaker, I'm really not going to take advice from a party that put forward £80 billion of unfunded commitments at the last election. That's the sort of thing that got us into the problem.
Did you hear what he said, Keith? It was in the question. Tax the rich. And even just a 2%, 2 to 4% increase on assets or wealth above £10 million would make a massive difference to society, and for the ones at the very top, they can certainly afford to pay a few percent more, or higher than a few percent even, and still be massively wealthy.
In the first place. Mr. Speaker, we can't just tax our way to growth. We need to ensure that we put in place the necessary...
Okay, because here's how it works, Starmer. You need to stimulate the economy vis-a-vis. You need to get money in people's pockets. You need job creation. And I'm literally, just describing the model that you're so committed to, back to yourself, reciting it to yourself. I know he's more of a law guy than a politics guy, but in case he wasn't familiar, you need something which is called economic stimulus. And in order to do that, people need to be able to get out there and consume all this merchandise that you want to sell to them every day, all of this junk and crap that they don't need, a lot of which is, doing untold damage to the planet as well, of course, but that's the way it works. That's the capitalist model, in case he wasn't familiar with it. But you can't just turn around and say there's no alternative, because there is.
We're putting in place planning reforms, Mr. Speaker, to drive growth. He voted against it, and they voted against it.
Mr. Speaker.
So, I'll ask again. What is the magic number? What is the target of GDP that you need to get to where everybody has a job, everybody has a house, everybody has access to education, health, these kind of things? Clean water. What's the magic number in this system, this formula that they use? Well, there isn't one, because it's just rich people's dick measuring contest at the end of the day, really, isn't it? GDP.
I am proud that this Labour government is banning fire and rehire. I am proud that we are addressing the abusive use of zero-hour contracts and improving protections at work, particularly against unfair dismissal. Reform and their Tory friends voted against Labour's workplace protections. I don't know why they're heckling. When they were in government, they promised to deal with fire and rehire, and after, and despite the scandal at P&O...
This must be a really good question he's about to ask, because he appears to have visited himself from the future and looking good himself, asking the question from the back, as you could see there. And he still likes that combination suit, apparently, in the future, wherever he's come from.
Did absolutely nothing about it. So, does my right honourable friend agree that it is only this Labour government which will ensure people have fairness at work in this country?
Well, I'm proud that we'll give 15 million workers, that's half of all workers, stronger rights at work. And Mr. Speaker, that's sick pay for up to...
He hates unions, he hates workers' rights, he won't raise the minimum wage to the level that it should be. For example, this is all bullshit, and it's led to what is going to be more strikes coming up from the health sector, and I'll go into that in a bit more detail after PMQs.
1.3 million of the lowest paid, tackling sexual harassment and bereavement leave for families who experience pregnancy loss before 24 weeks. Compare that to the leader of the opposition who thinks maternity pay is excessive. The leader of Reform who wants working people to pay tax for tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires. Both of them vote against reform and better protection of workers at every term. They always have and they always will. They offer nothing for working people.
Sir David Day. With permission, Mr. Speaker, before my question, can I tell the House that in the public gallery today there are a number of veterans of Northern Ireland. Given what the Prime Minister said about 7/7, I'd like to publicly thank them for their courage in defending our country against the first scourge of terrorism. Now, the Prime Minister knows that every time a paramilitary was killed in Northern Ireland by a British soldier, it triggered a thorough investigation. No bullet went unscrutinised. Our soldiers were held to the highest standards of law. The IRA were not. They tortured and shot men in the back. They forced families to watch their menfolk murdered. They killed women and children with bombs. Yet we're willing to...
The British Empire's never killed anyone with any bombs, ever. Or shot any people, ever. Fact. I just don't bother looking it up. You know, or if you think you know your history, well, you know you're wrong. It's what is it? Trump says the fake news. That's what it is. It's the fake news. Don't believe it.
Prosecute our own men. Men forced to make life and death decisions in split seconds. If the government get the legacy legislation wrong, at least 50 innocent retired veterans will be exposed to legal persecution for crimes they did not commit. Now, I've raised this matter 6 times now since February. So I ask again, on Monday, when we debate this matter in Westminster Hall, will his government protect our veterans, or will it sacrifice them to politically motivated lawyers trying to rewrite history with a pack of lies?
Trying to rewrite history with a pack of lies. Trying to rewrite history with a pack of lies. I don't know if that sounds terribly familiar, doesn't it, people?
Can I join him in his thanks to the veterans here today with us and to all veterans? And I mean, he knows this is a serious issue, and the outing of his at the end of his question didn't really reflect that seriousness, because the scheme that was set up by the party opposite was found to be unlawful in the courts, and he knows it. And it wasn't supported by the communities. It would have meant, as he knows, immunity from prosecution for those who committed the most appalling terrorist crimes. And that's why it didn't have support in the communities and didn't have the support, I think, of any political party in Northern Ireland. And that was amongst the reason it was found to be unlawful. So we have to tread carefully. We have to get this right. And I'll work with him on that, but we don't get there by...
Some days he knows the law. Some days he doesn't know the law. That's the Keir Starmer. It just depends on which country that you're referring to, of course.
Cheapening the debate. We will look at the address. It's not about political point scoring. I worked in Northern Ireland. I've spoken to many of the people affected, and I know we must get this right.
It's not about point scoring. Immediately goes in to listing examples and trying to score points in the debate. well, I've got 10 XP in Northern Ireland. I've got 15 XP in this department.
And I want to do so, and I want the House to do it together if we possibly can, because it matters. But we have to do that in a serious way, to address the issues of the past, of course, in a way that has support of victims and survivors. And that is a key test for me, because without the support of victims and survivors, I think it's very hard in Northern Ireland to come up with something which will have the confidence of everybody in Northern Ireland, which is why we have to work in the way we do. In advance of the new legislation, the Secretary of State for Northern Ireland continues to engage with veterans and their communities to ensure that legacy mechanisms are fair, that they're lawful and they're proportionate. And I'll continue to work with him and others in the House, because the most important thing is not scoring points but getting it right.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Last week I published a report which revealed the terrible legacy left by the party opposite on the NHS locally. Kids in Basingstoke waiting 210 days following a referral for access to mental health services, 3 times the national average. So I welcome the publication of the 10-year plan last week, led by the Prime Minister, to be delivered by a Labour Health Secretary, made possible by a Labour Chancellor. But can I ask the Prime Minister what more the government is able to do to close that gap in mental health services locally and ensure that every kid in Basingstoke has access to the very best mental health services?
It's the old classic. We're struggling, like, in a historic fashion. In Keir Starmer's case, struggling in the first term. So then we set long-term goals. We do you can't vote us out because we've not had the time to implement our plans yet. Or in a lot of cases, unfortunately, you go and start a bloody war or get involved with another country's war. And that's straight out of the Tory playbook. Tony Blair did that, of course. Thatcher did that, of course. Maybe even Norman Tebbit himself advised her. Who knows? Morbius, thanks a lot for the gifted membership there. Oh, has it worked? Question mark. Ooh. Oh no. I hope we're not back to that again. Shit.
Well, I thank him for that. The party opposite failed to give children the support that they need. The 10-year plan that we've put forward will rewire our NHS and transform mental health services. 85 dedicated mental health A&E departments giving 24/7 support, specialist mental health professionals in every school and college, benefiting 1 million young people this year alone, and an extra 8,500 mental health staff to tackle long waits. And that is only because of the decisions that we took to invest in our NHS, decisions that they opposed.
Jess Bramford.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm going to add to the many calls that this Prime Minister has already heard about the broken SEND system. I met with head teachers and SENCOs in my...
It's okay, Mo. Don't worry about it. It's obviously not your fault. It's just something that hasn't happened for a while. So I'll have to keep my left eye on that situation once again, unfortunately. Maybe it happens if you say Bob Villain more than 7 times, I don't know.
Constituency of Chichester last week, they all told me the same thing, that the SEND
Or, you know, you might even stick your neck out and say, I support Palace.
system is broken, it's adversarial, parents are at breaking point, there are not enough spaces in specialist schools, and the EHCP process is long, it's harrowing, and it's often degrading. Now, I know the government are exploring their options, but will he take the Liberal Democrat calls to introduce a national body for SEND so that we can end the postcode lottery and fix this problem for good?
Well, I thank her for raising this issue, and I know it's of concern to her and to many people across the House. The system we've got is broken. It's not serving anyone well. We've got to reform it, and I set out in an earlier answer the steps that we are taking. We will share those with the House, and I hope that we can get the greatest support possible for the reform that I think everybody here knows has to happen.
Catherine Fuchs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm delighted at the spending review commitment of £445 million for Welsh Rail. A new station at Meigren-Undy will take cars off the congested M4, offer greener journeys and open doors for local residents without a vehicle to get jobs. And it's great value for money due to the track and infrastructure.
I do, of course, encourage and approve of rail expansion, but it's not exactly a great topic for Starmer or wasn't for the Tories either.
Already in place there. Does the Prime Minister agree with me that Meigren-Undy is an excellent candidate to be the first firm station built so it can start serving local people?
Well, it's so good to see strong Labour MP standing up for Wales and her constituency. She makes her case. I can't confirm the plans yet, but we will consider recommendations from the Burns Commission, which includes a proposal for a new station in her constituency. And I'm delighted, Mr. Speaker, just this week we set out a major road and rail schemes across the country, the A66, Newark Bypass, Midlands Rail Hub, creating tens of thousands of jobs, new homes and better journeys for millions of travellers.
I'm assuming he doesn't mean like Romany gypsy travellers or anything. No, but my point was, I heard it mentioned today that even more elements of the high-speed rail line, known as HS2, are going to cost double what they originally projected. Now, this thing was supposed to open next year, actually, 2026, at the earliest. It looks as though it's not going to happen until 2033 at this rate, and most of it is going to cost double what was originally projected because they started to build before the plans had been completed. And yes, I did say that correctly. For some, we'll just generally dig over there and we'll start filling it with concrete and just see what happens. The plans will be here pretty soon, we're sure, but we've just got to be seen to, actually be building something so that we can extort all of this money. Oh, excuse me. So that we can really get ahead on the project. So that's what happened. They started putting spades in the ground before the plans had been completed. Obviously that hasn't worked out well. They've had to redraft everything and start again from scratch. And that's the current rail legacy of the country, apart from obviously privatised mess, terrible service, overpriced, terrible record on cancellations and lateness, outdated trains themselves, so on, at stations and so on and so forth. It's a shit show, but there's a few crumbs on the table for the people of Wales, apparently.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the past few weeks, I've spoken to 5 people from my rural constituency of North Devon who have been forced to remove their own teeth with pliers or with amateur surgical kits bought online because they are unable to find an NHS dentist. What would the Prime Minister say to those people, Mr. Speaker? And when will the government banish this dentistry crisis to the history books where it belongs?
Well, Mr. Speaker, another shameful legacy from the party opposite, with 1 in 4 adults struggling with NHS care and tooth decay as the most common reason for hospital admissions for children aged 5 to 9 under their watch. We are fixing this, Mr. Speaker, and I can set out what we're doing. We're rolling out 700,000 urgent and emergency appointments. We're reforming the dental contract and recruiting more dentists, newly qualified dentists, to practice in the NHS for a minimum period. All of that.
Which comedian said that they were quite worried by the fact that they call it a practice. Surely they've gotten good at it by the time they start to treat people.
Only made possible because of the investment we put in the budget, which they all opposed.
Millennial.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Tax evasion, money laundering, illicit goods
illegal working all undermine our high streets like Freeman Street in my own constituency, undermine local business confidence and challenge community cohesion. That's a reality around the country because of the explosion of vape shops, fake barbers, Harry Potter shops, American candy stores. Will the Prime Minister commit?
Fake barbers? What?
To working with his cabinet to bring...
No, vapes I get, because obviously vape shops, you can't ignore how quickly they're popping up all over the place, like some wholesalers are like Vape City, just literally dozens and dozens of them in a row in some areas. But what's this about fake barbers and Harry Potter shops?
In a national strategy to tackle the scourges of the high street and restore high street confidence.
Well, she's right to highlight this issue, Mr. Speaker. In March, we saw a major crackdown against criminals using high street businesses to launder money, and with almost 400 properties securing freezing orders over bank accounts totalling more than £1 million and arresting 35 individuals. There's
35?
Much more to come, and I thank her for highlighting this really important issue.
Sir Ashley Fox.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Prime Minister was elected on a promise to smash the gangs. Yeah.
I mean, the last question was very, obviously, vaguely about migrant crime. This one, see what I mean? This is exactly what I'm talking about. How many questions have we had in this session, which is fortunately coming towards the end now? So if Blackhole doesn't respond, it's going to be a win for change. But this is at least the 5th or 6th time. And he's only going to say the same thing in response.
Said he would reduce small boat crossings. He said he would close asylum hotels. Why are all these issues going wrong?
I'm still bothered about the private jets, to be honest.
Mr. Speaker, we are fixing the problem that they said they'd take control of borders and they lost it. We're working hard with our allies. We want to bring forward more powers for our law enforcement at the borders through our Borders Bill to give them the powers they need to take the job and deal with it. And what did they do? They voted against. A confected argument.
Patrick Hurley.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Tomorrow evening sees the annual National Police Bravery Awards. 3 of the officers nominated this year are 3 of the officers who were first on the scene of the tragedy in my Southport constituency last summer. So will the Prime Minister join me in paying tribute to Sergeant Gregory Gillespie, Constable Luke Holden and PCSO Timothy Parry, who are with us in the gallery today, for their immense bravery in the face of evil. And just like our brave officers will always protect and defend us when we need them to. Does he agree with me that this government will always support our brave officers in return?
Well, can I start by saying that the thoughts of the whole House, of course, are with the families of those that lost their little girls and all those affected by this terrible incident. I would like to put on record our heartfelt thanks to all of those who responded and those that are with us today: Sergeant Gregory Gillespie, PC Luke Holden, PCSO Timothy Parry. These officers ran towards danger to protect young lives, Mr. Speaker. I have met a number of them, and it is truly humbling to see the bravery and professionalism that they brought to their job that day and every day. Southport is a wonderful and loving community. In difficult days, they've shown kindness, empathy and courage. And I'd like to thank my honourable friend for all that he has done in relation to those values as well.
Ben Lake.
Mr. Speaker. My constituent, Mr. Brian Buckle, is a victim of a miscarriage of justice.
Yeah, he'll probably be cutting the forces with the next breath as well, knowing this guy.
He was wrongfully imprisoned for over 5 years before being exonerated at retrial. Now, Mr. Speaker, despite a jury unanimously finding him not guilty, of the crimes for which he was imprisoned and the devastating impact this injustice continues to have on him and his family. His application for compensation was denied due to a 2014 change to the law that requires those who have been wrongfully imprisoned to prove their innocence beyond all reasonable doubt. This is an almost impossible hurdle to overcome. And so would the Prime Minister consider meeting with Mr Buckle to discuss his case and lend his support to Appeal's campaign for fair compensation for those who have been victims of a miscarriage of justice?
Well, can I thank you for raising this particular case, which saw a grave miscarriage of justice. In relation to the statutory test for compensation, this has been raised in the House before, and I've undertaken to have a look at it. And I know he's working, I think, with the Minister responsible on the particular case that he raises.
Well, let's...
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Can I thank the Prime Minister for leading from the front in promoting the importance of his role as a father and keeping time for family life. I'm delighted that this government in the past week has launched a review into parental leave, and we've started to rebuild the legacy of Sure Start by launching our Best Start family hubs, both things that will make a huge difference to my constituents in Ribble Valley. Can you commit to this parental leave review, creating some truly ambitious outcomes so that we can make the UK not only a world-leading place to live and do business, but also the best place in the world to live a rewarding family life?
Well, I think the first full review of parental leave and pay is a landmark moment. The current system is simply out of date and too complicated. 1 in 3 dads don't take paternity leave, often because they can't afford to do so. Mr Speaker, that's a great loss to them and their children. I want parents to be able to give their child the best care and make the system work better for employers.
Final question, Cameron Thomas.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Following a week of internal conflict, the Prime Minister should be well prepared if he wants to join me this weekend at the Tewkesbury Medieval Festival, which includes Europe's largest reenactment. Or perhaps next weekend he'll don his leather jacket and turn it up to 11 at the Tewkesbury Live Music Festival, hosted by hospitality venues across the town. Regardless, will he join me in thanking the volunteers and those hospitality venues that make Tewkesbury...
I would double dare Starmer to show up at a music festival. Oh yeah, I'd double dare him.
...the unsung nucleus of Gloucestershire's culture. Thank you.
Mr Speaker, what an invitation.
Is it free? Will I get freebies? Is that the deal?
I'm grateful for the invite to join the medieval festival, but if I wanted to...
Well, you've got medieval policies, so you might as well, hey? Hey? I said, he's got medieval policies, so you might as well.
See a load of people stuck in the past and fighting each other. I'll probably go to the next meeting of the Shadow Cabinet. Thank you.
That completes Prime Minister's questions. Let the front bench change over.
Off they go. That was another session. Another session over with. And we have a champion. We have a winner. 2-0. To change, so yeah, no mention of the 22 billion black hole this time round. What do you make of that, people? Pretty bog standard, really, by all accounts. There was just that sort of chuntering incident that... Will you shut up? Whoever that was. So both of these contestants will be back next week. We'll see if Change can defend the title. Congratulations to Change. Just give me a quick moment, people. I'll move on to a few other topics very shortly. Just make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream. People, let me know what you thought about that session in the chat, just while I prepare one or two things. Strikes coming up, the BMA are taking industrial action once again. It was only just a second, but welfare reform didn't really come up too much in that PMQs. It was before the confirmatory vote earlier today, which has seen billions in cuts for disabled people who are going to lose personal independence payments. And recent polling shows just what the British public think about that. Let's see what's happening here, people. It's very, very conclusive, I think you can say. Excuse me. Without a doubt. 78% think they're handling the situation badly, with only 10% thinking that they're handling welfare well. That's another YouGov poll. And that's over the course of a year. You can see the decline there if you just look back to shortly after the period of time that the poll concerns. It was roughly around 25%, way above 20% there, which isn't great for a start, but then that's now halved, and disapproval started around 40% and now it's gone up to 78%. That's catastrophically bad. That's off the scale. So that's the public opinion from Labour's first year. And like I said, the BMA are set to strike. West Streeting has posted about this, but he just couldn't help but drop a porky pie in the process. Let's see what's happening. So he says the BMA strikes are unnecessary and unreasonable. He claims there isn't a precedent in British trade union history for calling a strike after a 28.9% pay rise, let alone a 5-day strike. The NHS is hanging by a thread. They're threatening to pull. 28.9, Wesley. Don't know where on earth he's gotten that figure from. It's around 4%. The pay rise that they've had has been around 4%. Again, these things get dragged out to the point where what does get accepted is below inflation, which just makes it just adds to the latency, makes it even further behind what it should be. 28.9%.
What?
That's just completely made up. And he's got to apologise for that. It's ridiculous. So that was a tweet from Wesley earlier. Please do give us a follow if you're on social media, preferably Blue Sky at MyLeftEye UK, but we're also on Twitter and Mastodon if you use that platform as well. I won't play the video, we just goes on. It's me with streeting. Speaking of strikes, it looks as though that is it for the negotiations on the Birmingham bin strikes. Gonna see what's happening there in just 1 second, people. So the situation is that a lot of the lorry drivers, etc., will face mass redundancies now, with negotiations having now stopped. Pretty much the council have walked away entirely. That was from earlier in the year, in April. ACAS were mediating the negotiations, which began in May, but the council has now said the authority is walking away. Birmingham City Council leader John Cotton said the authority had reached the absolute limits of what it can offer in talks with the union. Sharon Graham of Unite repeated earlier claims that the council had resorted to a fire and rehire strategy, and she said threats would not work. Cotton said the council had negotiated in good faith, but the union had rejected all offers the authority had made. Not really any details about what was in the offers there, but just a reminder that essentially staff were told all of a sudden you're going to be taking up to an £8,000 a year pay cut because of the council's decision to remove waste recycling and collection officer roles. So I imagine how that news would sit with you, whatever your occupation may or may not be, but I'm sure that you can imagine what it's like for them. Obviously, having been through 14 years of austerity as well, the timing couldn't be worse. 170 of the total workforce drivers, that's out of 400. One worker says that they've walked away but haven't even, well, they're claiming they've walked away but haven't even come to the table. He says it's absolutely absurd. All they want as refuse workers is to go back to work. The majority of us live in the city. We also work and we just want this sorted out, and that's true. It's not as though the dustbin drivers are having their bins collected either. They're in it with everybody else. Worth a reminder as well, the city is currently bankrupt. It's been bankrupt for a couple of years now, officially. As well, Birmingham, not very well led council or constituency. In fact, Jess Phillips of Birmingham Yardley does look set to lose a seat to an independent at the next general election. I'm sure that events like this won't help either. Not sure if there's going to be a council election before then as well. Be interesting to see what happens. So is what's going to happen now? Is it just going to expand until all of Birmingham is just one pile of trash, and then move on to the next nearest places where it's going to be next? You know, Solihull, Wolverhampton, Coventry, you know, West Bromwich. What's going to happen? You tell me. Share your thoughts about that with me in the chat or in the comments if you're watching back later on. Also, if you're watching back later on, just a quick reminder, super thanks are available. Thanks for those of you who've used super thanks on recent content, do appreciate that. And super chats are also open if you have something that requires my immediate and direct attention during the live stream. Thanks a lot for your support as always. Moving on though, like I said, I'm just going to skim through these remaining stories. You probably heard the developing news not too long before I came on the stream. Well, I'll do it in chronological order actually, because before that, obviously Netanyahu is making this air quotes diplomatic visit to the United States. He took him a model replica, a silver B-52 bomber, I believe, and presented it to Trump in this strange ceremony. Of all the things that he could have done, he just obviously wants to celebrate his illegal occupation and war crimes right there in front of the cameras, like some sort of sick old bastard. And whilst he was there, he's informed Donald Trump that he's nominated the US president for the Nobel Peace Prize. What a real, you know, that really is something to have on your record. I was nominated by the current biggest war criminal on the face of the planet, carrying out the biggest atrocities known to humanity. Put it in capital letters, Donald. And also, while he was there, well, today it was announced actually that he's going to be extending his stay in the United States for longer than originally planned. There is a huge, supposedly massive military operation going to be underway, and I'm sure that's just a coincidence. I'm sure it's also just a coincidence that someone who's been recently outspoken against Israel and Netanyahu, Francesca Albanese, has now been sanctioned by the United States. This again is developing news today. I'm sure again it's just a coincidence that that's happened whilst Netanyahu is visiting, because Francesca Albanese does a fantastic job. She's a United Nations special rapporteur. Let's see what's happening with that story. So again, an attempt to suppress the truth. This is very very underhanded, just straight out of the fascist playbook really. It's been confirmed by Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who's linked the move to her support for the ICC, which of course the US isn't a signatory to, and they denounce the ICC just as much as as Israel. It's pathetic, really, isn't it? The sanctions prevents Albanese from travelling to the United States and will block any assets that she has in the country. Trump's already sanctioned 4 of the ICC judges. This article just reminds us as well. It says, the move is likely to provoke a fierce backlash from those who argue for accountability of the civilian death toll from Israel's military offensive. What was the other one? The one that Bob Villan had on the... oh, yes, it's a conflict, isn't it? It's not an occupation, it's a conflict. Military offensive. How about illegal annexation? Doesn't that lean towards the truth a bit more? Good old, impartial, balanced BBC. What's that? Oh, just have a look at my notes here. Oh yeah. They report Israeli deaths 33 times more than Palestinian ones, even though there are 33 times more Palestinian deaths than Israelis. They've done the usual stuff of accusing her of anti-Semitism and so on. That goes without saying at this point. It's pretty much very standard and formulaic. No, it's just, you know, almost embarrassing that they still continue with that. So they've absolutely gotten it the wrong way around. It's perhaps she who should be nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize. Certainly preferable to Donald Trump. Pretty certain that the Nobel Institute will see sense and not award him the prize, but nonetheless it just shows the sycophancy that exists between Israel and the US, who are one and the same. You know, it's often said they're the 51st state of America, and lo and behold, we've got the same 2 paragraphs in verbatim. This is all October 7th, you know. Do you condemn hummus? Because a small amount of people who are alive are worth a damn lot more than hundreds of thousands of dead people, including disproportionately women and children, and who are directly being targeted, by the way, as well as journalists. And hospitals and non-military targets. So, yeah. That's pretty much it for the article. Let me know what you think about that, people. Jacqueline, how you doing? Francesca Albanese is an excellent replacement for the sorely missed Claire Daly, yes, of course, from the United Nations. Was unfortunately voted out last year. That was Mick Wallace, though, is still doing great work, another great Irish MEP. And they were very good alongside each other, working in tandem. I was always very impressed by her enthusiasm. The same with Mick Wallace as well. And he doesn't do the, what would you call it? I guess sort of statesmanly optics and whatnot. He'll happily show up at the Parliament in t-shirt and shorts or whatnot. You know, it's not the suit and all the rest of it. He's quite modest in that regard, of course. Mick Wallace, who's still there. Oh, excellent segue opportunity, because just earlier today I did see on social media a picture of Mick Wallace. He's actually over in Yemen, and he actually met up with some of the military leaders in Yemen, and today it's been confirmed that a second ship has been sunk, a Red Sea cargo ship, which was on its way to Israel from Liberia. Eternity Sea is the name of the vessel. It was carrying 25 crew when it sustained significant damage and lost all propulsion after being hit by rocket-propelled grenades fired from small boats. So that's 2 in a week. And they were both on the way to Israel, of course. Yemen and the Houthis, I should say, specifically vowed to uphold a blockade, essentially. Nothing, I think, I'm paraphrasing, but they said nothing goes in, nothing comes out, essentially. And it was from Liberia, and in another kind of strange, circly segue fashion, at this big posh dinner that took place last night with President Macron of France and King Charles, of course. Other dignitaries were there, I believe, including the leader of Liberia. That would be a president, the president of Liberia. Who was once asked, it was remarked by Donald Trump once that he spoke really good English, and asked him where he learned it, without realising that English is the official first language in Liberia. So it was quite an extraneous link, but a link nonetheless. I'll just see if there have been any announcements from the Houthis or no, just a sort of generic announcement from the United States. But speaking of which, and I know I can see that we still have at least one Scot in the chat who's watching live. That brings me, speaking of links, it's a bit of a golf link, if you get the link. Tenuous link. What do you make of this? The police getting ready for Donald Trump, who's going to be visiting Scotland soon. Did you hear about this? It's going to kick off. Well, I remember the protest last time. It was quite a gloomy day, and just a short way away from him on the golf course, as he was trying to look, you know, again, statesman-like, and trying to wave. People were there holding banners, and I think someone was playing the bagpipes as well, which I hope affected his concentration. So he's going to be going to his golf resort at Menee in Aberdeenshire, where he'll open a new golf course Yeah, they should nick him. They should nick him. Your fucking neck, pal. God, it's understood there'll be no private meeting with King Charles, however, Trump will make a full state visit to the blah 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 in September. John Swinney has been briefed on police preparations. Assistant Chief Constable Emma Bond says she's planning is underway for a potential visit later this month. Nicola, are you going to get down to the protests? You could, you know, be the roving reporter down there. Maybe you'll be taking part in a demonstration yourself. But let me know, anybody who's from Scotland. This is going to be in Aberdeenshire. Trump Organisation owns Trump International Scotland there and the Trump Turnberry Golf Resorts in Ayrshire as well. Lib Dem Scottish Affairs spokesperson, which I can't see being a particularly difficult job, if you'll forgive me. Christine Jardine criticised the millions in policing costs from previous visits. That's easy money, isn't it? I bet. Liberal Democrat Scottish Affairs spokesperson. Apparently this new golf course is going to feature the largest sand dunes in Scotland. Alongside, but you know, I'm not entirely convinced that, like many of his other projects, it'll go into the ground like a fucking dart. Who are those people? Are they golf people? Is that Trump Jr.? What's going on there? Not sure. I just don't like it. Let's get out of here. Oh, that's the... yeah, that was the one at Turnberry that I mentioned. I won't play the vid. They tend to buffer when I'm streaming anyway, so... yeah, he's not far away. That's literally the sort of demonstrator's point of view there, whilst they're all chanting just over that sort of little knoll, if you want to, you know, put it that way. A knoll close to where the president is, in a four-wheeled vehicle. Anyway. A lot of grass on that knoll, you could call it. I don't know how you describe that knoll with a lot of grass on it. How many golf courses are there in Britain? Jacqueline, I don't know the exact number, but I can tell you that there is more land dedicated to golf courses than there is social housing. That is absolutely true. And yet, Nicola, people like Trump can only see things aesthetically. They have no consideration for the environment, for ecosystems, and so it's just, we'll take this away, we'll put this there, we'll move that around. No consideration for micro systems. But that's capitalism, people. It's a good walk spoiled. That's what a lot of people would say anyway. But what say you people? I could see Nicola, yeah, making your thoughts clear there. I'll keep my left eye on that situation as well. I'm almost certain there'll be similar protests, whatever's happening. Just make sure you keep it loud when he's on the backswing, okay? Good stuff. Okay, I think that's just about all I've got for bookmarks, but I do want to say another thanks to all of the members on the channel. Pardon me while I just remove the chat from the screen. Thanks a lot, everybody, for your support, and we picked up some new members tonight as well, so wonderful stuff. More marvellous members to add to this roster, which costs just 99p if you want to add your name. That would be fantastic. Please do check out the perks. Just seeing if anybody's live. It's likely to be a channel from the States at this hour, and indeed it's going to be This Space. That's the channel that is called This Space. So yeah, stick around, make sure that you've hit thumbs up on the stream before we braid across to this space. Graham, thanks a lot for that super chat as well. Awesome stuff. Yeah, raise fists and a shout out to Palestine as well. Solidarity to that. Really appreciate that support, Graham. So yeah, thanks a lot for joining me on tonight's stream. We're all set up to get over. That'll be it from me. Take care, everybody. My left eye, be seeing you soon. Free Palestine and power to the people.